Welcome to Dreadful Digest, where we look at your favorite horror novels and rip apart their adaptations. I'm one of your hosts, Tessa Nelson,
I'm Sam.
and we are recording remotely for the first time. This is a big deal. Previously, we've only recorded in person, but this is going to be great because that means we give you guys more content, and we also, get to talk to guests too. So that'll be interesting. It's a game changer
It's
for us.
true. I know you guys think that I
Yeah.
live in that room with Tessa and that, that's our space where we occupy, but I live somewhere else. So now I get to be there and we can still
Yes.
record. It's honestly
It's
magical, I have to say.
crazy.
I
Technology is
really hope it
magic.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Me too. So, if you haven't seen our past two episodes, we've been covering It. This is the final episode in our series on It. We're almost done.
It's a
Yes.
trilogy. Not even
It
it
is
is
a
a trilogy.
trilogy. It should have been. One could. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last episodes, but one of my notes when reading it was like, would this have benefited from being a series? Just putting
As
that out
opposed to
there.
yeah. And yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't seen our last two episodes, we covered It, the 2017 film, and It Chapter 2. Today we're going to be throwing it back to the 90s and looking at It from 1990, the TV miniseries. So, Sam, you watched this before I did. I finished this 2 nights ago, so it's
Yeah.
fresh in my mind. But what are your thoughts? What's your non-spoiler review on this?
Oh man, it's been so long actually because it's been let me pull up my notes. um okay. My actual non-spoiler review, like not my letterbox style, but like the general review that I wrote down for this is overall there's no flow to this movie. It reads chapter to chapter like the book instead of having an
Yeah.
overall structural flow. And a good example of this is the scene in the Chinese restaurant, which is interrupted with the scene of Henry Bowers and then goes back to the scene at the Chinese restaurant without
Yeah.
reasonably increasing the tension of that scene. And like
Yeah, wow.
honestly, I would say that that's similar to probably how The Shining. I mean, I don't really remember this, so I hope I'm correct in this diagnosis, but it reminds me of how The Shining TV series was in the sense that it's like beat by beat true to the book to a fault structurally,
Mhm.
where it's like this is just not really how movies typically flow. That being said, like Tim Curry's the best, and that picture of him smoking on the set with a little
So
umbrella
iconic.
is me till I die.
I
Like
have
that's
it.
my
I got
that's
the
my actual
photo.
non-spoiler
Mhm.
review. That picture of Tim Curry smoking a cigarette, like that made the entire thing worth it. That's my non-spoiler review.
That's so accurate. I'm going to counter. I think this is a solid adaptation.
That's
And
crazy.
not to say it's a solid story because I did kind of zone out here and there because I was so
Mhm.
familiar with the book. I was just like, okay, I know what's happening.
So you were
But
like a really big fan of Bill's rat tail? Is that what you're telling me?
no, no. I said first episode, cut it off. Get it out of here. My mom, she
Okay.
watched a part of it with me, and she used to have a crush on that
Yeah.
guy because he was from I forget what show she used to watch as a kid, and she was like, "Oh, I used to
Mhm.
think he was so cute," and I was like, "Just wait." And then he turns around, and she's like, "Oh."
He's so normal. Like talk about business in the front, party in the back. Like
Yeah,
that's what's going on with his hair.
it's mind-boggling. I'm like, you would look so much better if it was cut off. Anyway, weird
Yeah.
choices. But I will say I did one thing I will give this adaptation over the movies is the fact that you really feel the friendship among these characters more. I would say
Agree.
that yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you. Because I was like there's more like moments of them bonding like at making the dam and you got to see like Ben being welcomed into this friend group and then also the moment
Mhm.
when we're totally getting into spoilers here, but whatever. That's what we do. When Bev is running away from her dad and Ben finds her and comforts her, it's like those moments really made this adaptation work for me. Even if it did feel like, oh, I know this part from the book, and
Yeah.
oh, Henry's here, and oh, we're cutting to this other thing, and
Yeah.
yeah. But I kind of feel
You
like
know,
the
yeah.
movies also, I don't know. The movies, they lack like the friendship that I really liked from the book, and it also felt like, kind of to your point with this adaptation, it's like, oh, we're cutting from this scene to this scene, and oh, there's a jump scare. Cut to next scene. It ends
Mhm.
with a jump scare, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, like there has
Yeah.
to be a way to like tell this story where it doesn't just feel like little tiny stories within a
Bursts.
story.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I also, you are one specific note of the TV movie is that I feel strongly. Okay, what's her name? I haven't watched the movies now in like so long now that we're recording this episode, but the girl who plays Beverly Marsh in the more recent It adaptations does a fabulous job. But
Sophia Lillis is the younger Bev. Jessica Chastain is older Bev.
yes, Sophia Lillis, great job. That being said, I kind of feel like the TV movie Bev looks more like the age that she is supposed to be.
Yeah,
And I don't
100%.
actually know the age that Sophia Lillis was when maybe that she actually is biblically accurate, so I could be totally wrong, but in my image of Bev, in my mind, TV movie Bev looks younger, and I feel that that is appropriate.
Yeah. Well, they did for those movies, they did make them I think 13 compared to 11, like canonically in the
Mm,
film. So,
that's
it
why.
worked.
Okay.
But yeah, I did make a note of how good the child actors were in this adaptation. Like Bev was
Yeah,
a standout, Bill was a standout.
Bill was great.
Richie, of course, is Seth Green, so he killed it as Richie.
Yeah,
So I was like, the adults really looked like their child counterparts, like especially
yeah.
Bev. That was actually, I don't know how
I
they found the
agree.
perfect match. It's like crazy,
I
but
totally agree. Yeah.
I just have to give like props to the child actors for
Mhm.
being really compelling and having really emotional moments, like when Ben there's Ben, Bill, Bev, so I'm gonna get them all mixed up. But when Bill is like crying and he's like, "Can you guys help me get like kill Pennywise for my brother?" And he's like crying in Barrens, and it was just that was a really standout moment. I'm like, for this random TV movie with such a small budget, like it was really great. Casting was really great.
Yeah. And that one scene of Bev when I think Henry Bowers and his gang is like ganging up on her, and this moment happens in the book and it doesn't happen in the movie, where the guy walks into his house and just like turns away from what's about to
Yeah.
happen. I thought was really impactful because of how good the kids were. Like I feel like that moment is really off-putting in the book so much so that they like come back to it and they're like, there's something wrong with this town. Here is the example of it. And I feel like it was good that they included that in this version because it it is super off-putting and it does show that there's something wrong with Derry as a whole.
Hmm.
And the kids did a great job. We have not said
They do
enough
kind of.
negative things though. I would like to
There will be time
say.
for negative stuff,
Okay.
for sure. I will say in the films though, because we're gonna probably be jumping back and forth between all the versions, but in the film they do have that really creepy moment of the car driving by Ben, and they just stare at him while Henry's is about to cut him. And I remember watching when I first watched that in theaters, I was like, "That's good. That's really creepy."
Oh, I kind of don't
So
remember
they
that.
do kind of have something. Okay, well, they do have a similar scene, but just with Ben and not Bev. But yeah,
Bev.
it does emphasize like the town is its own beast, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump into the research, shall we? First,
Yes.
actually, let's do our synopsis, even
Oh
though
yeah.
we've
We
mentioned
just
this like
summarized
two
it.
times before. But
Yeah.
yeah, in case you haven't watched the first two episodes, which you should, here is the synopsis for it. The story revolves around a predatory monster that can transform itself into its prey's worst fears in order to devour them, allowing it to exploit the phobias of its victims. It mostly takes the form of a humanoid clown, an evil clown called Pennywise, but it can shift shape. Yeah, it could. Oh my god, it
You got it.
could shift forms. The protagonists are called the Losers Club. They are a group of 7 outcast kids who discover Pennywise and vow to kill him by any means necessary. The series takes place over 2 different time periods. The first, when the losers first confront Pennywise as children in 1960, emphasize 1960, and the second, when they return as adults in 1990 to defeat him for a second time after he resurfaces. So that is the plot of the miniseries. Diving into the research, most of this was done by our new producer, Sibia. She's been helping
Woo-woo!
she's been helping with the research in the past, but she's going to be taking on a little bit more of a role on the producing side, which is very exciting. So I put in a couple facts in here, but most of this is hers. So let's dive into it. Some of these I haven't even read yet. So this is new to
I
me
want
too.
her to come back on the pod.
I know. Well, now we have the option with
It's true.
remote recording. So the miniseries came out in 1990. It was adapted by Carrie screenwriter Lawrence D. Cohen. So he wrote the 1996 Carrie. It is also directed by Tommy Lee Wallace. You guys might be familiar with his work on Halloween 3 and Fright Night Part 2. Originally, before Wallace was brought on to take over this project, George A. Romero was originally signed on to direct the project, which I feel like keeps popping up on this podcast as like, this guy might have directed it, but he didn't. Like with the
Must have been
Goosebumps
busy.
one randomly. Yeah, he was. He was working on the remake for Night of the Living Dead. So there was like scheduling conflicts, but also he dropped out due to ABC wanting to cut down the 8 to 10 hour runtime they originally agreed to down to 4 hours. So this was originally going to be like a full on 8 to 10 episode miniseries, which is crazy to think about. But I'm honestly I don't know. I think it's fine being the length it is. What do you think?
Agreed.
Yeah. I don't know.
We have enough.
Yeah.
I think we have enough.
Stephen King would argue, but he's got a lot to say about
Well, I
this
think everybody
series.
would argue with me because of Welcome to Derry. And like I accept my fate on that. I actually do think Welcome to Derry is good. And it is nice that we get to expand
Did you
on the world
finish
in
it?
that way. But no, but the parts that
Okay.
I did see I thought were good.
Yeah.
And I will finish it. But that being said, specifically the story of it, we have enough. We have enough adaptations of it. I mean, I know that this obviously came out before the other 2 movies, but I don't know if the world could have handled that being an actual TV series with episodes. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that we have it the way that it is. You know
Well,
what I
I think
mean?
I think what made it so special at the time and why for a lot of 90s kids it's like their definitive version of it. I think that the fact that it was something that you caught on ABC, like watching it as it came out, like all together at the same time, collectively, like how many millions of people watching it at the same time, probably
Yeah.
cemented the fact that like this was like scary for people. This was something that brought forth nightmares. And
Mhm.
I feel like if they did multiple episodes, obviously viewership would go down and less people would remember this.
That's true. Although I do think that viewing habits then are different than they are now. I mean, I'm sure it's just true universally that like when you have a TV show, people watch less episodes as it goes on.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's something that we're like very acquainted with in the streaming era, you know, where it's like, oh, we can see viewership drop off like very clearly um with the way that our shows are. And I mean, they could then as well, but I almost wonder if because TV was more of the medium, like the with 2 E's medium, that more people might have watched more episodes than if they did an It series. about the movie. I mean, not the movie, the book. It just, I don't know though. See, I said all that,
Yeah.
and then there's Welcome to Derry, and everybody loved Welcome to Derry. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it is not following the book exactly. It's kind of
Right.
creating its own storylines, which I
Right.
think is a benefit for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what a world would look like if we had this this book adaptation, like following it beat by beat. I wonder what that would look like. I don't know if I want to see it though.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that I don't think we ever would, because then you would have to have child actors doing things that child actors are legally not allowed to do. So
Hmm.
if we were actually going beat by
Yeah,
beat true to the book, um,
which is
but obviously,
interesting. We will
is
get
it?
to,
Wait, what do you mean?
because one of the actors might have wanted it, a certain scene to be included, but we'll get to that later.
What? Wait, are we talking about the same scene?
The scene that kids could not do?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
One of
I
the
have the
actors.
quote.
Okay, we'll get to it.
I have
Let's
the
continue.
quote. It's crazy.
Okay,
Wikipedia is
great.
crazy. Back to the research.
Okay.
We talked about an interesting casting last episode, or in it chapter 1, where Pennywise was going to be originally played by oh my god, what's his name? Will Poulter.
Hmm.
I have an even more interesting casting for
Okay,
you.
hit me with it.
Alice Cooper was in consideration to play Pennywise.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Yeah, look him up. You'll recognize his face.
Whoa.
Yes, the singer,
Whoa. Okay.
heavy
Okay.
metal pops rock
You know,
icon Alice Cooper was, it's an interesting. I'm not mad about it, but I
like,
don't know. Can he
no
act?
hate to my man. Right. The world, well, now we'll never know. But the
Yeah.
no hate to my man Tim Curry. Obviously, hands down, Tim Curry eats it down. But
Hmm.
that could have been interesting. I wonder what,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that speaks to the audiences that they might have been interested in receiving with this kind of
Hmm.
adaptation.
With it being on TV, it was noted in the Wikipedia that like more kids had access to this, and so
Mhm.
I wonder if that was a choice in order to bring in a younger audience. I don't
Mhm.
know, but kids still apparently watched it, so it didn't really matter.
Well, there you go.
So the original design for Pennywise featured exaggerated cheekbones, a sharp chin, and bulbous forehead. According to
You don't have a
director
picture of it,
Tommy,
do you?
of the original design,
Mhm.
I don't have it on me, no.
Ugh, I want
But
to see
according
it
to the director,
forever.
he said, quote, Tim Curry objected strongly to all the rubber. He had recently been in several movies which covered him in prosthetics. With those eyes and that mouth and his crazy, sardonic sense of humor, less turned out to be more in the makeup department.
Fair enough.
I wonder what, I mean, I'm glad that Tim Curry got to shine throughout all that makeup. I wonder what, like, I guess we do kind of have a genuinely scary, creepy Pennywise. But
I feel like we do.
yeah,
Well,
with
we talked about this
Bill
a few episodes
Skarsgård,
ago.
but
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, I think Bill Skarsgård is scarier, but I think Tim Curry brings out the part of Pennywise in the book that's a lot more um classic clown behavior,
yeah.
CCB.
CCV. Definitely gonna start using
Because
that.
CCB. Because in the book, and we talked about this, I can't remember which episode it was, but on one of the It episodes, about how like Pennywise is like low key funny in the book, or like he has all these
Mhm.
jokes in the book and like references to like pranks that you would do as a kid, um, which we get in the Tim Curry version, but
We
we
do.
don't get in the Bill Skarsgård version. So you know, for that, it's like I almost feel like appearing more human is beneficial, because I think that allowed him to be able to bring out that side of the character that would have, I think, seemed a little misplaced with Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, you do make a good point, and I remember reading that the reason they also, you know, didn't want to make him too monstrous is because he is trying to lure in kids, and if you have a horrifying clown, they're not gonna want to come close to that. So
Right. This
it
is this
does,
is
yeah, it makes a good point.
I think we talked about this a few episodes ago too. Like me getting so ahead of myself, by the way, because we haven't even like gotten through the research. But
I know.
like, why doesn't Pennywise has the it's the Monsters Inc. logic. Pennywise has the capability to lure in kids by being, I don't know, a
Yeah,
piece of cotton candy, and yet she chooses
she,
she
she,
chooses
she,
to
her, it.
be she her it chooses to be a scary villain. Why? I assume fear tastes better. Why? We had this conversation, remember? And it's the same
Yeah,
thing. It's like, I guess it's just a different approach to how you would choose to lure kids. Tim Curry would lure kids looking like a person. Bill Skarsgård would lure kids. Bill Skarsgård must like the taste of fear better. Barbecue. Isn't that what we decided?
yeah. You
Barbecue.
said hot mustard. I said something sweet.
See, I think it's barbecue. I think it's like
Okay.
Tim Curry
Okay.
though, I don't think he is barbecue. Tim Curry likes sweet and sour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is a mix. He's a mix, and I just really love the randomness. There was I mean I wrote it down, jumping whatever. We're going to be back and forth. Who cares? But while it's on the topic of Tim Curry's Pennywise, I laughed. I was like, so when Henry is being broken out of Juniper Hill, I was like, are they going to do the dog? No, they're not going to do the dog. And they did the dog. And I was like, that was crazy. And
Yeah.
it's like it had again. I bring this up. I brought Dogman up last episode, but I was just like, it had the same effect of in the Shining miniseries. I was like, that's the guy. That's the Dog Man.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Uh,
Literally 2 times.
in this, it's very literal. But I just was like, there were so many moments, like even Pennywise in the shape of the moon. I was like, that's funny. It's from the book. I don't know. I just was like, it was fun seeing all these little things specifically from the book, especially coming from the movies, which they do take out a lot, which is fine. But yeah, it really did remind me of the viewing experience of watching the Shiny mini series, where I'm like, is
Yeah.
this better? No, but am I having a good time? Yes.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
honestly, that's the best non-spoiler review. Is this better? No. Am I having a good time? Yes.
Yeah.
There's
That
reasons to
is, yeah.
watch it still.
I should put that on my letterbox.
I was gonna say, like, that's solid.
So, according to Bart Mixon, the FX supervisor, he based the shape of Pennywise's head. We keep talking about Pennywise's style, but they based it on Lon Chaney in the Phantom of the Opera, which I can definitely see that. Have you seen like that
No.
old classic Phantom of the Opera?
No.
No. Okay.
I
Well,
would
he's
like to
really
though.
creepy. He's not sexy like the newest Phantom of the Opera.
The new one is sexy.
He's creepy. I feel like I feel like
Okay.
other people find the Phantom sexy.
You know what? I
Anyway,
think you're right. I do think people find Phantom of the Opera sexy. I
I'm
think
not
there's
crazy.
no. I
Especially
like
like the
remember this.
musical.
I remember like when I was in high school, like certain girls like really liked Phantom of the Opera, you know, and
Yeah, but
it's
you got to
like,
keep the mask on.
yeah, it's part of it.
Hmm. I mean, there's
And
definitely smut
Pennywise,
based on Phantom of the Opera, so
for sure.
it's for some
What about
people.
Pennywise? Is there smut based on Pennywise?
Up, up.
Tessa, can you look into this?
I don't want that on my computer history.
So true.
There
That's why I
has to
asked you
be
to look into
clown
it.
smut at the very least. At the very
I
least.
don't.
Moving
For
on.
sure.
One could argue this book is smut. Just really gross.
Expand.
Do I need to?
Yes.
Well, what is the definition of smut? It's sex in books. Right?
Okay, yes. And the sense, if you look at, for example, but there is no sex in this book that is not abusive.
The author would argue, and some of the
The
actors
author
would
would argue with
argue.
me about a lot of things,
Yes.
but I would say that there's no sex. Well, let's hear what that actor said about the
Okay,
sex. I guess that also
I
matters.
guess I keep brushing past it, but so
Yeah.
the actress who played the adult Beverly Marsh, her name,
Mhm.
I have it written down, Annette O'Toole. She has
Mhm.
admitted to disliking the removal of the losers' orgy scene. She says, quote, "This was their greatest attachment to one another. She thought they were all going to die, and this was a gift she was giving to each one of them. And I thought it was the most beautiful, generous, love-filled gift, and it tied them all together in such an amazing way." And I think that's the same sentiment Stephen King has.
For sure.
But
100, they are in sync on that. They are, they get it. They get whatever he was going
the
for.
only two people that think that way, but
I guess so. I guess so. It's funny, like, I wonder, like, after she said that, if down the line she was, and she saw maybe, I don't know what the public's reaction to it was at the time, but I have to imagine that it might
very
be worse
mixed,
now.
for sure.
If, like, as more people watched it and read it and participated in the media, like, and had their own reactions to it, I wonder if she, like, reconsidered that perspective, just based on, I don't know, though. She obviously understood what Stephen King was going for, and I think I understood
Yeah.
what he's going for too, but I disagree with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're on the same page with that one.
you
So
surprised me though when you said actress. I thought for sure it was going to be one of the boys.
I thought so too, because originally I was like scrolling through Wikipedia, and then I saw the last name O'Toole, and I was like, "Oh brother, what producer is saying this?" You
Oh
know? And then I
brother,
feel
yeah.
bad. I like Control F, and I'm like O'Toole, and then it was the actress who played Beverly Marsh, and I was like,
There you
"Oh,
go.
I was
All right.
wrong." Yeah, so moving away from that entire conversation, spider-wise. So the spider that Pennywise becomes at the end of the book and the series was hand constructed by Mixon and his art department team. Tommy Lee Wallace recalled of the spider, quote, "We labored long and hard designing a spider that was very beefy and muscular, almost reptilian in appearance. It looked great in the drawings. The team went back to Hollywood to work the whole thing up. When they returned, what I expected to see was the big version of that original model. What they assembled on set was very, very different. Not chunky at all, very lean and mean." What are your thoughts on the spider? We're jumping to the end here. What are your thoughts on
Yeah, I guess
Spider-Wise?
so. I didn't consider an alternative spider, I guess. I accepted the spider for what it was. I wasn't like,
Yeah.
that doesn't look like how I imagined it. That looked like
Mm-hmm.
a big scary spider, so I just
Yeah.
went with it.
Yeah, as I understand it, some of the castmates thought it was a little weird looking. I don't know if I kept the quote from Stephen King about it, but yeah, he had some issues with the spider.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I saved it, but
He was
I
like,
did
that
not.
muscular, that muscular. That spider's not muscular enough.
It's too
That looks like a
lean.
weak spider.
The thing is, though, is he doesn't even. If I'm remembering, which it has been weeks since I read it, but I'm like, was it even that detailed of a description? I don't think it
No.
was. So it could be interpreted as anything, really.
I hope I'm correct in that immediate no, but because I don't honestly remember, but I just remember a lot of the action that happens towards the end of the book being a little, I don't know,
Yes.
like vague, I guess, is how I
Vague,
would
yeah.
say it. Yeah.
That's why it was really hard in our first episode for me to even try to explain it. And I'm gonna have to try to explain it again this episode, but you know, it's tough. It's a tough one. So ABC originally did not want King seeing the footage of it until after it was broadcast. However, the author threatened the network that he would not do any promotional interviews if he did not see it first. He said, quote, "It's my damn book, and I worked on it for 3 years."
3 years?
I would also be scared to show him footage.
Yeah, I understand everybody in this situation. On the one hand, I'm
Yeah.
like, 3 years is, yes, it is that long, but at the same time, in comparison to other things, I feel, I don't know.
Especially for the length of it. I feel like I would take a long time to write something
I
like
think
that.
it would take longer than whatever. What do I know? I'm not an author, but
Yeah.
yeah, I also understand not wanting to show it to Stephen King, but I guess
Yeah,
it's like
especially after The
I
Shining, right?
yeah.
This was the Pennywise or Spider-Wise quote I wanted to mention. So in a panel in 2017, Tim Curry remarked of the spider, quote, "It was not very scary or convincing." And that's a
You know what?
fair opinion. I appreciate
Yeah.
Tim Curry for speaking his mind, sharing his
Speak
opinions.
your truth, King,
Yeah.
and never stop.
We say that about Tim Curry and accepting it, but not with Stephen King.
It's so different.
That's true.
That's true. The very different attitudes that we just expressed.
We're like, go King, go Tim Curry,
Go
boo
Tim
King.
Curry. Stephen King.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're never getting a promotional sponsor from any of his
No,
movies.
Stephen King doesn't want to participate here. That's okay.
No.
You know what though? It's
We'll
kind of
keep
like
talking
conquering.
about it.
It's like not conquering the enemy, but it's like conquer. Like I don't. That's the best word use that I can use here. But it's like, it doesn't matter if he doesn't want to participate because like we will know his work so well that you know, it's like, well, I don't know. I think people that love Stephen King, some of them for sure have read all of his stuff. But I also feel like people
Yeah.
that say they love Stephen King, maybe they've only read The Shining. Or maybe they've only read, because that's what I used to do. I used to say I loved Stephen King and I had only read The Shining.
But it's crazy. This podcast has totally changed your mind.
Yeah.
Interesting
And that's the
development.
thing. It's like being cursed, because like sometimes I talk to people who are like who love Stephen King, and usually they're people who maybe have read one more book than The Shining or maybe a few more books than The Shining, and they're like, oh, like love Stephen King, and why don't you like Stephen King? And I'm like, I don't like Stephen King because I have read Stephen King. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you
Period.
like Stephen King because you haven't read Stephen King, and I don't like him because I have read Stephen King, but I will continue to be reading Stephen King books. So
Sorry.
we are not the same.
All right, I got 2 more facts for you here. Despite the
Okay.
risk factors, mixed pre-airing critical reviews, and coverage of George W. Bush's foreign trips cutting into the program, it was ABC's biggest success of 1990, with I think like 30 million viewers.
Whoop,
Wild. Those numbers don't
whoop.
exist anymore, I feel like. Last fact for you here. It has also spawned, this version of it has spawned an Indiegogo funded documentary film about the miniseries production called Pennywise, the Story of It. Came out in
Whoa.
2020. Yeah, pretty recent. I meant to watch it. I know it was on Tubi for free. It's out there, but I did not
Love
have time.
Tubi.
So,
Tubi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stan. There's an by the same creators, there's also an alternate history sequel short called Georgie. And yeah, the producers of the documentary made it. Did not look into that at all. They didn't even have their own Wikipedia page for that. So,
Well, there you go.
time to move on to the book versus movie segment. I kind of split it by first half, second half. Originally, when this airs, it was 2 episodes, but the version I watched on HBO, they just combined them. So I kind of tried to gauge based on what made sense for me. Let's start with the first half. As I mentioned in the synopsis, this miniseries has the kids facing Pennywise in the 60s, and they also face him in 1990 as adults. Now in the book, it's pretty similar, but they face Pennywise as kids in the 50s and the 80s as adults. So just a 10-year difference there. I did watch a video, though, that was kind of explaining how the lore is slightly different, because in this miniseries, Pennywise comes back every 30 years. Meanwhile, the book, it's every 27 to 28 years. So
Mm-hmm.
slight differences. But I honestly was like, you know what? Screw it. Make it every 30 years. Round it off. Who cares if
True.
it's 27 years?
Well, I guess I kind of get it, because it's like, why would Pennywise, a cosmic entity, adhere to the, you know, the Western calendar, like, of
True.
exact years? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's
that's
like, I kind
fair.
of get why it's between 27 and 28, because it's like, well, why exactly 30 years is a little, really, you know?
Yeah.
But also, I agree with you in the who cares sense. Who cares? Who
Who
cares?
cares? I think we're going to be saying that
Not
a
me.
lot this
Who
episode.
cares? Yeah.
Yeah. uh,
Yeah.
the first scene of this series, oh my god, you know what I didn't talk about? Whatever.
What? What? What
We
didn't you
didn't
talk
talk
about?
about we didn't talk about our experience with this series prior to us filming this, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you right now. Mine was basically the
Oh,
photo of Tim Curry smoking the cigarette.
and you were like, I need to watch this stat.
I was like, oh my god, wow. That's my exposure to it. I don't really have any sort of
Okay.
relationship to this besides the photos I've seen of Tim Curry as Pennywise. And maybe that forms my opinion, because there's a special place in my heart for that, because the photos are so funny, and I really hope that we can put them on the screen when I'm talking about them right now.
I'll see if I'm up to it.
That was the picture I was gonna print out and like put on my wall, was the picture of Pennywise smoking the cigarette, because I was like, that's
Well, we do have it
exactly
for
right.
next time you're on set. It
It's
finally
true. I'd
came.
like that to be my contribution. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
add that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not have any experience with this miniseries prior to us covering it. I
Mm-hmm.
did. The reason I brought this up is because I had a family member who I don't really talk to play it when I was at their house, and this was the only scene I watched, and then I didn't finish it. But it's the first scene with the little girl, Lori Ann, and Pennywise in
Oh.
the
Uh-huh.
laundry, like it's swaying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was at the beginning of this series, and it is not in any other iteration. It's not in the book at all. I think it's a solid start. Really shows the threat of this character.
It's more of a cold open than Georgie really is, because Georgie really does pertain to the characters, whereas the little girl going missing is like, this is pretty disconnected, honestly, from the rest of the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like a little teaser, or a little like, this is like the danger you're gonna get from watching this show. Isn't it
Right.
scary?
This is the
Without
vibe. Yeah.
showing like, because that
It's not
opening
plot.
with,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it does lead Mike to eventually call the losers. He's like, okay, something's happening
Oh, wait,
again. I
that's
need to bring them
true.
back. So he's there. He shows up to the crime scene, finds the photo of Georgie. So it does amount to the at least the adult section. Comparing it to like the opening with Georgie in the film, which is much more graphic. It's good for a TV audience. It's good for people that might not, because the thing is they wanted to prioritize like some of the drama aspects more
Mm-hmm.
for this TV version, because they were like, well, people are going to be watching this that might not even like horror. So we need to play up the soap opera-y kind of moments. And while this is not soap opera-y, I feel like it is a nice way to ease people into like, ooh, this is spooky, without being too
Yeah.
scary. So we're introduced to Ben, who you noted in a previous episode. uh you were like, oh, you should look up pictures of Ben in this version. You were like, look him up. And he's introduced as a bit of a player in this miniseries. In the book,
Yeah.
he still mostly harbors feelings for Bev. He still, is kind of in love with her, and he spends most of his free time at the bar. So that's kind of the difference between book Ben and miniseries Ben. I think player Ben makes sense. you
Agreed.
know.
I also just don't think it makes sense for him to still be hung up on Bev. I'm sorry.
That part doesn't make oh, Joy's here. That
Oh.
part is like sorry, my cat just came on screen. Yeah,
That's
why
such an
does how
offensive
does he
Bev.
remember Bev? How does he remember Bev is what I'm trying to get at, because he's
No,
forgotten
no.
everyone else.
No, but we know why he remembers Bev in um which version? Is it this version where he keeps the yearbook photo in his wallet? Or the yearbook signature?
Yeah, he did keep that.
One of the versions we know why he has that specific memory and nothing else. But that's not in the book, right?
No. No.
Because there's no token thing in the book.
No, you're okay, so huh. So yeah, he didn't. I guess you could argue that the Ben in the book does not remember Bev, but he still is, I guess, deeply depressed. He's going through it. He's lonely, and that's why he spends most
True.
of his time at the bar. So that makes sense.
Yes.
So I don't know
That
why
does
in
make
both film
sense.
adaptations he does
Well,
remember
no,
her.
in one of the versions it makes sense. They do come up with a reason. I can't remember which version it is.
Mm.
Too much it. Too much it is in my brain.
I think it is the film version, the chapter
The
2.
tokens. I think you're right
Yes.
because of the joking about that's not gonna burn. That seems like a very modern version.
Okay, so we talked about
Yeah.
this in our first episode, but the reason that Henry is after Ben in the book is because Ben refused to let Henry cheat off of him. In the series, Henry has to stay after school because he's like making fun of Ben. Ben is introducing himself to the class, and Henry's shouting insults at him. He gets told off by the teacher to stay after school. So Henry is out for Ben. So it's a, it just shortens things a bit in terms of timing and like getting straight to the point of like, okay, he's the big bully. He's going to be a threat to these kids. Okay, so Ben, after running away from Henry, he comes across a couple of the losers, including Bill and Eddie. That remains consistent in both versions. However, a slight detail is that we actually follow Bill as he goes to get Eddie's inhaler. It's this whole thing. He takes his bike, Silver, and he goes to the pharmacy to get Eddie's inhaler, which not important as I'm saying it out loud. But it just that's another example of like you get a lot of detail in the book, and some of it isn't important, but some of it really does flesh out the world, even if it's just a small town. Like it does feel big, and I think this is one of those examples. We get to see
Mm-hmm.
more of the town and the different people and stuff like that. We're introduced to Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Keene, the pharmacist, who pops up later in the book. And yeah, it's just another way that we get more detail. One thing I noted in the first episode as something I really liked is how Pennywise shows up as a mummy for Ben. I thought that was really cool in the book, the descriptions of the mummy in the middle of the frozen lake and like
Mm-hmm.
the balloons going towards Ben. Like it was really cool imagery. That exists in the book. In the miniseries, they change a couple things with Ben's backstory. First off, he's a new kid, which he isn't in the book. I don't know why they've done that in both iterations. Actually, they've made
I
Ben a new
dislike
kid.
it.
It's like
Yeah.
why? But anyway, so he's new to Derry. He's living with his aunt because his mom is going through it. And so they're having to live with her sister for a little while. Not great situation. But his father apparently passed away in war. I think, was it the Vietnam War? I can't remember what he said.
I don't know. I mean,
He was in
it
the
had to have
military.
been.
Yeah. In the military, he died. And so when Pennywise shows up for Ben, he shows up as his dead dad. And I will say I did think it was very creepy, like him in the marsh and like waving like to his to Ben. thought it looked really cool. When reading up on it, they just had, like, to make it look like he was standing on water, they just had like a little podium thing for him to stand on.
Makes
Great
sense. Yeah.
effect. Looked cool. Super simple, but looked great. I just don't understand why Pennywise would show up as his dad. You know? Like, for Beverly Marsh, that makes sense.
Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. Because the fear is not Pennywise's only tool. But then why ever use fear?
He mostly used the
Well,
sphere. Yeah.
well, it's like, well, because maybe like pleasure or like something good, happiness or whatever, tastes like
But he
sugar.
seemed scared. Well, I guess you would be scared if you saw a dead person
For sure.
walking on water. Yeah, now that I'm saying that, it would be creepy. But I just don't see the point, I guess, of adding that whole storyline. Like, what does it even amount to? It's not like he talks about it with the
And
kids or
this
anything.
is going to be our count number 2 of who cares.
Yeah, that's true. In this miniseries, we also do not see Bev's friend Kay. Kay is a character in the book who's,
Oh, yeah.
yes, she is Bev's only friend as an adult.
Hey, at
And
least he gave her a friend. In every other version, she doesn't
true.
have any friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kay does not show up anywhere else. And Kay has some moments with Bev's husband, Tom Rogan, that lead to abuse, and is the reason that Tom Rogan knows that Bev is heading to Derry so he can go track her down. Tom Rogan, he shows up at the beginning of this miniseries, doesn't show up again after Bev leaves. Speaking of Bev, in the book, she actually joins the Losers Club after joining Richie and Ben at the movies. So they go, the three of them, they have a little cute scene where they go see Teenage American Werewolf, or whatever that movie is. However, in the series, it kind of changes when Ben invites her to the Barrens to help them build the dam. So she just joins the team slightly differently. I do like the friendship. Obviously, we know Ben wants something a little bit more, but I do like the fact that he's those moments when he's there for her, like him inviting her to hang out, like him consoling her after the situation with her dad. Like, I really did like those moments, and it makes the fact that they do get together in the end like that much sweeter. Because
Agreed.
sometimes it felt like in I don't even know if I want to say the book, but maybe in the past or in other iterations, it kind of felt like as soon as he lost weight, suddenly there's a
They get
spark.
together.
Suddenly
Yeah.
she notices him.
Suddenly
But in
she's
this
like,
they do
whoa.
oh my god. It's that Sabrina
Who is
Carpenter
this
song.
guy? Yeah.
All of a sudden. um but yeah, so it was nice to see, like, oh no, they do. Oh, headphone fell out. It's nice to see that, oh, they do, like, get along, and, like, there's
Yeah.
maybe something there, even if she is preoccupied with Bill. Like, you know there's a sweetness
Yes.
there. I really liked it. Something that this series does maintain that the films don't is the fact that it does go back and forth between the kids and adults and their storylines. So that's why my notes are a bit they seem a bit back and forth, but this is the exact like timeline that is portrayed in the series, the order of events. So Eddie, as an adult, he lives with his mom in the series, which was interesting compared to the book where he actually is married, although his wife kind of looks like his mom. But yeah, in this series, they really paint him out to be like, I mean, he even says it himself. He's a virgin. Like at the end of
Are
the
you gonna say
series.
he seems like an incel?
No, I don't. I don't see him as an incel. I
Neither do I. Neither do I.
oh,
Just making sure. No, I mean
I
he's
think
not an
he's just
incel because
really,
he is voluntarily celibate, so he could not, by definition, be an incel.
yeah. He says it himself. He's like, I'm only in love
Yeah.
with you guys, so I could not be
Yeah.
with anyone else romantically. But I do feel bad for this Eddie because he's never had his own independence. he's been stuck living with the same person, and yeah, his adult self was very much a sadder version of Eddie than we've gotten in the film and the
I
book
agree.
version.
And I
Yeah.
maybe it's because I absolutely love the acting of Eddie in both of the newer movies, but
Hmm.
I disagree with the TV movie's portrayal of Eddie. I think that the TV I feel like the modern movies, first of all, they keep the Freudian relationship, which I think is core to his character. I don't think it's the kind of thing I disagree with them rewriting it that he literally lives with his mom. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were shying away from the topic or whatever, but I think that the new movies do it very well. And it is a realistic thing that people do. So I think it's like good
Especially
for
if
his
you're being
character.
abused, right? Because like
100%.
Bev married
And
somebody like her dad, and then he married someone like his mom.
I also feel, if I can say this, I think that the actor did a fine job as Eddie. I don't have anything to say about his performance, but the writing of his character in the TV movie, I just think doesn't do justice to the way that he is in the book. I think in the book he has a strong personality, which we do see in the modern movies very well. And he has his own presence in the book
Humor.
besides being weak. And I think that
Yeah,
like the his role in the TV movie is more just like weak, and he has to overcome
I agree
weakness.
with that. I agree with that. He can stand up to Richie's like jokes, and
And he does.
he's on
Yeah.
par. He's on par with him. And
Mhm.
with this version, yeah, it did he did seem more of a kind of a sad, lonely character. I also he did not, compared to the other actors, he did not look like the kid version. Like the kid version
Mhm. Agreed.
looks like an Eddie. Looks like, you know,
Definitely.
if you're gonna bring this character to life from the book, he's a great Eddie. But
Yeah.
the adult version did not look like him at all. I
Yeah.
don't even think they have the same hair
Agreed.
color. Like it was
Agreed.
very odd. But yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Eddie, as a kid, he has this whole scene in the series where the showers come to life. I think it's really cool. There's some great effects with like the tiles being pulled open and Pennywise pops out. Really solid. Not a thing that happens in the book at all.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with you. I actually
if
do like that scene.
I think it has some great effects in there. It's
Yeah.
memorable. I'm trying to remember what Eddie's first encounter with Pennywise was. That was the leper
It's the
at
leopard.
Neville
Yeah.
House, which
Mhm.
Neville House doesn't make an appearance in this version at all. But yeah, so in the book, Eddie is afraid of leopards. He sees a leper, and in this version, I think he's been told by his mom not to go in the showers, right? Very much against germs. And like she
Yes.
doesn't want him to do
Yes.
PE, she doesn't want him to take showers.
That is
So
true.
it kind of does make sense that like, oh, his fears would arise in the place he knows his mom would not want him to be. Something that happens in both this version and the film versions is that Richie is made into a stand-up comedian as an adult. In the book, he's a DJ jockey. Now, you really like Richie in the book,
I
right?
like Richie, period.
Period. Okay. And Stephen King would
Wait.
agree with you.
Wait, though. I do
Oh,
not excuse Richie's racism. We do need to hold
right,
Richie
right.
accountable. That being said, I
Yes,
think he's a well-written character who is interesting. I don't think that I agree with the things that he says or does. So,
right.
let me make it
No,
clear. This
I
is from
get
a
that.
critical analysis perspective. I don't
Yes.
like Richie, you know? I feel like some people might like Richie. I'm not one of those people, you know?
Yeah. Where the Richie stands out there. But yeah, so Stephen King did not like the fact that he was made into a stand-up comedian. He feels like he was pretty one note this version. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Agree, actually. I think that they do water him down. I don't disagree with him being a stand-up comedian in the modern movie interpretations because I don't think we really have that many disc jockeys. Like that's less of a
Yeah.
successful. It's less. It is a successful career path, but I think it's less perceived as like a celebrity status as it is meant to
Yeah.
convey in the book. Um in comparison to stand-up comedian today. I think that, like, at the time, like, if we're looking exactly at what King was trying to convey about fame, um, at the time, disc jockey made sense. But how can we not cast Bill Hader for this? And obviously, he did a great job in the newer version. But this middle interpretation of the TV movie, I do agree with King. I think that Richie is very like, and here's a joke, and here's a joke, and here's a joke. And it's just kind of like, that is one note. Okay, I take back every negative thing I've said about King. I guess we agree. I think that, yeah, I agree. I agree.
There you go. As a kid, Richie sees Pennywise for the first time as a werewolf. It shows up while he's at school and he's going down into the basement, and the American werewolf, teenage werewolf, pops up. Pretty good effects there. Now, in the series, he does have a fear, or in the book, Richie does have a fear of this werewolf, but he shows up. He sees Pennywise for the first time at Neibolt House with Bill. They're going to see if the leper is still there that Eddie had seen, but instead, Pennywise shows up as a werewolf to scare Eddie. So the series is just condensing things, which is totally fine. I still think the makeup looked pretty decent. Even if
Hmm.
it did look a little, I mean, it looked a little goosebumps here and there, but I'm not mad about it. Something I noted, and I don't know if this was intentional, if this was an intentional change or if just they said the line wrong, but I believe Mike, when he's doing his little presentation in class and he's talking about like the history of Derry, I believe he says sandpipe instead of standpipe, like it is in the book. Did you
Huh.
did you catch that?
No.
And it could have been like, maybe that was intentional to change it to the sandpipe, but
Maybe.
yeah, the standpipe is a key feature of the book, and it also shows up in the Welcome to Derry series a bit more. But the standpipe is where Stan experiences Pennywise for the first time, and yeah, the standpipe is nowhere to be seen in this miniseries. We haven't even talked about Stan at all yet.
Yeah.
He's a Boy Scout in this version, and he loves his birds. He still loves his birds, which is fun.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, he is adamant that Pennywise isn't real. The kids are just like, he's like la 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 la, like, I don't believe you guys. In the book, if I'm remembering right, he does believe them. He just wants to ignore it. He just wants to have a good summer, right?
Right.
Because he did have an experience with Pennywise early in the summer or even before summer started.
Yeah.
So in this version, they kind of change the timeline a bit where he's a bit later to the game and seeing Pennywise. He sees Pennywise during summer, and because of that, when everybody's sharing their stories, he doesn't quite believe in what they're saying. Even when he sees the photos move in Mike's or in the yeah, I think it's Mike's photo album that he's showing them. The photos start moving. Even then, he's disbelieving in it. Absolutely no Rodan in this series. No Rodan in any version. And I guess I should explain what that is. But for Mike, Pennywise shows up as this like bird-like creature that is from one of the Godzilla movies. And so yeah, there's no creepy bird in any version, which is fine. The only time we see like any sort of bird is at the Chinese restaurant, and it pops out of
Oh yeah.
the fortune cookie. So that's like a fun little Easter egg in here. But other than that, the only time Mike he joins pretty late in this series, I would say, and he shows them his photo album, and that's the first time he sees Pennywise, I believe, is in that photo album. I don't think he has his own experience prior to that. In this version, they do keep the Silver Slugs plot line, so they use Silver Slugs to take down or at least hurt Pennywise. Now, in the book, they make the silver slugs from Ben's silver coins that he was gifted, but in this series, they change it to be Richie's mom's earrings. So, slight change. Among the Niebolt house that was cut from this film, they also cut the secret little hideout that the losers make and also the smoke ceremony. So, the smoke ceremony, for those who don't know in the book, is basically they hunker down in this little hideout and they set a fire, and the smoke causes them to see visions of Pennywise crash landing on Earth, showing that he is an entity from space. So we don't get that background in this version. So as the losers are going to face Pennywise as kids, they enter through the sewers. Henry and his gang are chasing them. We do get the Deadlights in this version. Now, you said you really liked how the Deadlights were portrayed in the films. Does that still stand?
Yes.
Okay. Henry's gang comes across Pennywise as Deadlights, and they get two of them die. But Henry, I don't know. Pennywise just leaves him in this version. In
He's
the
like,
book,
that's my dog.
yeah, we're gonna
DAWG.
use him. In the book, Pennywise becomes Frankenstein and kills Henry's friends, and Henry runs away, and that's how he survives. Jumping back to the losers, when they face Pennywise, Pennywise, as we've mentioned, takes the form of a spider in the book. She is a female spider, and she is pregnant. Now, this is the version Pennywise shows up as. That's the closest that the human eye can see to its original form, so we don't really know what the original form of Pennywise looks like. In this miniseries, Pennywise doesn't show up as a spider until later when they are adults. He just shows up in his clown form. But we don't get the whole ritual of Chud thing. We don't get Bill going into the black void and talking to Pennywise telepathically. And we don't get no turtle in this version. No turtle in any version.
I did not
Actually
expect you to pull that
ridiculous.
out.
I have my turtles on set again today. No turtle, which I have a great TikTok if y'all want to watch it that explains the turtle, but if you don't feel like doing that, basically the turtle barfed up our universe, barfed up Pennywise. It's a cosmic turtle, and the turtle maybe or maybe not influences the kids into helping defeat Pennywise. That's to be determined, but yeah, so no turtle in this version, and it's relatively similar to the films, I would say, in cutting it down to just a simple monster fight. All right, lastly, before we get into the second half of things, the Losers Club do not cut their hands in this version. They do not cut their hands and swear their loyalty like they do in the book. This comes to play in It Chapter 2 and the book, where the kids cut their hands and then as adults the scar returns, and that does not happen in this version. Moving on to the second half, as I said, I tried to split it as judgment calls, but the Losers Club split up after meeting at the Chinese restaurant in the book. They go and explore the town of Derry on their own and have their own individual meetings with Pennywise. However, in the series, they kind of reverse these events where, like, everyone shows up in Derry by themselves. They're kind of doing their own things. They come across Pennywise in their own various ways, like Mrs. Kirsch and whatnot. So they just kind of swap these in the timeline. In the book, Bill actually comes across Silver in a pawn shop, which is his bike, and he ends up buying it from the pawn shop owner, and he and Mike have this whole thing where they're making it look brand new. And now in the series, Mike actually bought Silver before Ben even showed up to Derry. And so I made a note because they do have this little montage of them riding the bike.
Which is
And I
a
was
long
just like,
montage, by the way.
takes up
They
too much
love riding
time,
that
then
bike.
yeah. And I was just like, why does adult Mike and Bill kind of have chemistry right now.
That's
Like,
probably
he was
why it's such
very
a long
sweet.
scene, is because they probably filmed it and they were like, "This is cooking. Like, this is
Yeah.
really good. We need to get a lot of this." And
Except
then
I
they were like,
interpreted it
"Put it in the cut."
as like, I was like, ooh, there's like something going on between these two.
You think?
No, that's definitely not
Maybe.
how it was portrayed, but with the music and like them
Oh,
writing
you were
together
just
on
saying, okay.
silver, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I meant. I was just like,
got it.
I don't think that was their intention at all,
No,
but I
definitely
thought it
not.
was funny. The music choices were really interesting. I feel like they had a lot of 80s songs in here for sure, which makes sense, but it
Mhm.
was jarring, like hearing songs that you hear on the radio in this show, where I'm so
Yeah,
used to horror having like atmospheric like
yeah,
scores made specifically for the film, and then it's just like a random song thrown in here.
yeah,
In the book, there are a couple of events that happen that Mike tells through these interludes, and a couple of them include the Black Spot, and the Bradley Gang. Now, Mike does mention the Black Spot briefly when he's talking to the class, but the Bradley Gang totally cut, and
yeah.
I think you're fine
That's
with that.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Let's
those
say
who
it for a
don't
fourth time.
know,
Who cares?
yeah, who cares? For those who don't know, though, the Bradley gang showed up to Derry in like the 1930s. I can't remember the exact time, but there's a whole shootout in Derry, and people spotted Pennywise there. So there's like these big events that kind of end the Pennywise cycle, and then he goes back to sleep for another 27, 30 years. Mike does mention the Black Spot in this, which was a bar that black military men frequented, and then this essentially uh, racist group shows up, uh, lights it on fire. A lot of people die, and that's the Black Spot. It is shown in the Welcome to Derry show. If you are more interested in like the history and stuff, I think, and the things that are in the book, then that's a great show to check out. A scene I feel like I remember you really enjoying in the book is the scene with Mrs. Kirsch, where Bev goes
Yeah,
to her old house, and it becomes like a candy house, like the witch from that Hansel and Gretel, right?
yeah.
And they do have something similar in this version. However, Mrs. Kirsch doesn't become like a witch, or in the new version, like this long, elongated, naked lady. She becomes, and this is something I didn't catch when watching it, but according to the Wikipedia, Mrs. Kirsch becomes Alvin Marsh's corpse.
Oh,
I didn't notice that. I don't think it came through, honestly, but that was their intention. Is she becomes
okay.
his corpse, which is kind of cool, but I did not see it.
Actually,
Um
wait. No, I don't remember. It's possible. Sure.
yeah. There's also absolutely, we haven't talked about this at all. Absolutely no Patrick Hockstetter in this version. At least in the films he's like a background bully, but in this he was not there at all.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah.
Welch and Victor Chris helping Henry, which I don't
It would
really
have
feel
been
like diving into that, but
it would have been a lot to get into. I think it would have just been opening a can of worms that you don't really have the time or resources to do. So, I get it.
that's in every adaptation. It's like, yeah, we don't really need all that.
We don't need all that. We don't.
And yeah, because it, like, what does it amount to? I go into more detail about Patrick Hockstetter's backstory and all that, but it's a
Yeah, we
lot,
talk about it in another
and
episode.
I think, yeah, it wouldn't add anything to any film adaptation, really. Also, did you notice this? But Eddie does not get his arm broken. I
Hmm.
was like three-fourths of the way through this miniseries, and I was just like, wait, he hasn't got his arm broken yet. I
Yeah,
feel like
and
that's
this is
such a core thing.
this goes hand in hand to me with the whole like they just really kill Eddie's characterization down
Yeah.
by like three pegs.
Hmm.
They're like, let's just reduce him to nothing, basically.
The It 2017. when that came out, and people were like doing cosplays with the
Yeah.
broken arm, the
Yes,
bandaging
I
with like
remember that too.
losers written on it. Like that, I feel like
Yeah.
that is such a core thing that it's hard to imagine any adaptation where that's not a thing, if that makes sense. So it was a surprise not saying that. Jumping to the end here, the adults face off Spider-Wise, so we get to see Spider. Keep saying Spider-Wise. They keep seeing they see Pennywise in her all her glory in her final form. However, she's not pregnant. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
No
cowards.
pregnant
You're not gonna make Bill
turtle.
bald. You're not gonna make Spider-Wise pregnant. What is it? What are
No
you
pregnant
scared?
Spider-Wise.
What are you scared?
Instead, they kind of replaced that and had it be where like the deadlights show up in her like abdomen or like the underbelly. I don't know. So that's where like Bev, she gets the silver slugs. She strikes Spider-Wise in the belly, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how she gets knocked over. And then they just like start beating her up, I guess. This is after Eddie dies. Eddie dies, and it's not that crazy in this version compared to the film. He just
Definitely not.
he literally knocks his head on a rock and then he dies. So R.I.P. Eddie. So then they knock Spider-Wise over and then they just start like punching her. It looks so bad. And then Bill pulls her heart out, and that's
Right.
the end of Pennywise. So again, no black void, no telepathic communication, none of that. It again gets resorted to a monster fight. I fear we are never gonna get anybody trying to recreate the book's ending. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them
I
for
was gonna
not
say, you
trying.
fear that? Or like,
At the end of the day, every director is probably going to take this source material and turn it into a monster fight because that is the easiest way to end a movie. And that's okay.
I think I really feel if you put this in the hands of somebody like David Lynch, he would do it.
That's true. There are some directors that would take it upon themselves. Do you think a Stanley Kubrick would? No, he doesn't even like
No,
Stephen King's writing.
I was
Never
gonna say, he
mind.
explicitly would not. Historically, he has disagreed with Stephen King about certain things in
Yes.
his books, so I would say no. I would say
Yeah,
he
you
would
know what?
proceed with realism.
Facts. Anyway, so they have to leave Eddie down in the sewers. But Derry is actually starting to crumble in on itself. Like the sewers are falling apart. That doesn't happen in this version or any version,
True.
which is interesting. I feel like that'd be such an easy way, at least, to show like the destruction, like
Well,
physical
also,
destruction,
oh,
visually. Just the visual destruction we haven't seen in any version. And do you wish that there was a version where Derry was destroyed in a sense or starting to fall apart?
yes, I do. I think that it makes sense. It's like the structure of the town is about Pennywise. Pennywise has been there longer than anybody else, so it just makes sense that the town itself would also cave in. It also
Yeah.
doesn't have to. It kind of doesn't matter, but it's a detail that maybe it was out of scope financially for some of these productions and that's why they didn't do it, but it does make sense in the story, you know?
Yeah, I like how you phrased it.
Recording now.
Alrighty. A lot of technical issues, sorry everyone, but that's those are all the differences I could find in this version.
Is that where we're at in this point of the episode? Like that's
Yes,
of course. Okay.
yes, we are literally at
Um
the end.
okay,
The
perfect.
final question though is what do you prefer? The series, the book, or the film?
The
Film
films,
series.
the film
Yeah.
series.
I thought that was
Because
gonna be your answer.
yeah, because I mean, I've talked about it the last 3 episodes, all the reasons I love the film version. I do like the book for its own unique reasons, but not enough reason. But the things I dislike about the book are so strong that I feel
Right.
better about the movie. And I don't really like the TV adaptation, in my opinion, Tim Curry is the best thing about it. He's fabulous, but I also just feel yeah, I don't have much else to comment on beyond that. I know that we just spent a long time commenting on it, but I don't actually have that.
I know. I think we said at the top of the episode all the positives that we have. I definitely think the
Yeah.
chemistry with the kids is probably the best part of this version.
Yeah.
But I think as a story, the film outweighs this for sure. I said some good things about the book in those first couple episodes, and I think it comes down to the details that I really liked, just the town of Derry itself, the lore. I really found that stuff super interesting, and that's pretty much what I got from the book and what I enjoyed about it. But
Hmm.
in terms of like what I would revisit again, I would definitely say the films, 100%.
Yes. Same way. I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah. All right, this versus that. Let's go.
This is
This
actually
one
what
I
I'm
had to
most
do.
excited for.
This one, and you probably know the first one I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Tim Curry versus Bill Skarsgård.
Oh,
And
this
not in
is
a fight.
criminal.
Who you prefer?
In a fight, I do believe Bill Skarsgård could take down Tim Curry. Not in a fight. I guess who's more effective as Pennywise? Well, I've already said this before. I think that the new movie does a really good job of being scary. I think that Tim Curry, as we've already established, is iconic.
Right.
But in terms of like fear-mongering Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård is super scary. I mean, he has the aid of all of the visual effects that get applied to him, of course, and also the physical things that he is able to do, as we talked about, I think, a few episodes ago,
His physical
that make it
performance,
scary.
yeah.
So, for those reasons, I have to go with Bill.
I can't remember what I said I liked the book version last time, right?
I think so.
I think Bill Skarsgård is more memorable, and maybe that's just because I've seen those movies more so than I've seen this. But I thought he was really funny. I thought Tim Curry was really funny in this version. So I don't
For
know. In
sure.
terms of capturing the spirit of the book, Tim Curry definitely does a bit more, but I still feel like there's no way to bring that character to life that would ever satisfy me. And that's just a me problem.
Yeah,
And I'm
I
going to
get
leave it
it.
at that.
I mean, when we get rid of all of the cosmic characterization that we talked about, like it is really hard to nail Pennywise as a whole. So it's
Yeah,
like,
because he can't just look like a clown. Like he
yeah,
has to feel like something from another planet, or
right.
has to feel ancient, like a threat.
She is not tethered to her physical
She,
form.
right? She. All right. Would you rather have to go? Okay, so we didn't really talk about the creepy house that Stan goes into instead of the standpipe. So he sees like Pennywise as a mummy in this house. Would you rather have to go in that creepy house or go into the standpipe?
Creepy house.
Okay. And you
I
know
feel
which
like this.
house I'm talking about, right?
I
Not
know what
Neville
you're talking
House.
about.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, I don't.
The creepy
What's
house that
creepy
Stan
house?
goes into. Because, so in the book, he goes into the standpipe. In this miniseries, he enters this random house next to the park. Maybe this is a bad question since you can't remember.
I don't remember this.
He sees the mummy going down the stairs.
Stan?
We can. Oh my god, my battery's almost dying. Okay, we need to move on. We need to move
Okay.
on. Okay.
Yeah, next.
Okay, so Spider-Wise in the miniseries versus It Chapter 2. Which Spider version of Pennywise do you like?
It chapter 2. It chapter 2, absolutely.
The clown
And
spider?
I know you agree with me about this. Don't There's no world where you don't agree with me about this. Hands down,
I
it's gotta
think
be
the
It
one
chapter 2.
in the
No,
miniseries is
no
funny.
way. Well, it's
But he
funny,
is
but it's not
creepier.
effective.
Yeah. I don't think either
That
version is
shrimpy little
effective.
spider, that they literally were like, this thing isn't muscular enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It chapter 2 nailed it.
I still think the Pennywise head on top of the spider is stupid, but whatever.
I don't know, I think it's
That
scary.
is our episode. Oh.
That is our episode.
We're like rushing for
thank
time.
God. And thank God that's our episode. We somehow
We're
made
done.
it against all odds.
Oh my god, despite everything the world threw at us.
We
Check out
recorded an
next episode we're going to be covering Frankenstein, the new version by Guillermo del Toro. So check out the book, check out the movie on Netflix, and follow us on at Dreadful Digest Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. So yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.